Hey guys, it's Jason. I wanted to go over this month's Pearl. Well, let me think here. March's Pearl that I still have not written the story for yet via video. I feel like this is actually a little bit more of an intimate way to kind of do these stories. I spend so much time, literally hours, writing every story for the Pearls. And when I was writing this month's, I actually realized that it's a lot easier for me to kind of share my feelings about it with you via video. Also, it's a really cool way to kind of show you guys what these pearls all look like, what the experience actually is like. So let's discuss this one. Time is precious. This pearl, to me, is kind of interesting. The last time I actually did a pearl on time itself was called Good Things Take Time, and that was actually March of 2019. So literally exactly a year before this one. When we first started talking about this pearl and kind of the idea that I had for it, one of the things that was most important to me was something that I think a lot of us actually realize when we hit our 30s. If you're like me and you're past the age of 30, I'm 35 right now, you know what it's like to start to realize that life is short, that time is precious. It's almost as if the decades seem to speed up once you hit 30. It's like your teens seem to go on forever, your 20s seem to go on forever, and then you hit 30 and it's just fast forward and you start to count every day. You start to recognize that time is going really quick and you only have so long here on earth. And that's what this is actually about. Time is precious. The inside of this box was a phenomenal quote. That's actually a take on an original Buddha saying. The trouble is we think we have time. I love that because, again, going back to when you're in your 20s, you don't ever really think about how short life is. You think about, is what I'm wearing, does it look cool? Is my hair okay? Is my hair okay? Uh, you think about stuff like that. And I think this idea of the short amount of time that we have here on earth doesn't really hit us. Um, for me personally, I started thinking about this a lot when my grandmother passed away. And I think that something that's interesting about that is you start to recognize the end of a life of somebody and you look at that at their funeral, for example, and you look at everything that happened in their life. So their life was long, right? My grandma, I believe, was 80, 89 when she passed away. She had a long life. But what was more impressive to me was actually what she did with it. And I think that's actually what's important here right now. This is almost touching on the very original Pearl, Dust to Dust, which a lot of you guys know was made as inspiration from my grandma. I think that to me, time is precious is one of these things that's meant to be a reminder for each of us of how short life is and how much we should appreciate every single solitary moment we have. Right now, that seems a little bit strange. We're in a really weird time right now where a lot of us are stuck at home. And time feels like it's dragging on because our routines are completely changed up. We're not really sure what tomorrow brings. A lot of us are bored or we're stressed out. Everybody's stressed out. And we feel like we're not in control at all. It's almost kind of like this realization that the world is a lot bigger than just us, right? What I think the value is of this strap of time is precious is it's this reminder that every single moment we have is one that we should cherish. For me, that's with my family, with my kids and my wife, and actually spending time with them, quality time where I'm not looking at my phone or I'm not trying to take care of something for work and where I'm just focused on them. For you, it might be your family, it might be friends, it might be, in this case right now where we're stuck at home. Even if you're at home alone, it's one of those things where you can use every moment you have to benefit you, right? Like you choose how you use every minute of the day and what you do with it, how you spend that time. Are you investing in yourself? Are you learning something new? Are you getting outside of your comfort zone and pushing yourself further when it comes to education, like right now where we're stuck at home. What are you learning every day? What are you working on? What are you trying to perfect or create or see come to fruition? That's what time is precious is all about to me. It's taking advantage of every single second we have and actually treating it as valuable as it actually is, right? For so many of us, we treat time like a luxury. Time is a currency. Time is the ultimate currency because it's something that we can spend, but we never, ever, ever get it back. So in thinking about that, if we start to treat time like that, you start to recognize the value of your own time, right? Like, what is the most valuable thing I could personally be doing with every single minute that I have? And I look at that and I say, if I find myself doing things throughout the day that don't align with that, then I kind of go back and I say, okay, what am I not seeing here? What am I doing wrong that I can actually use my time to be most beneficial? Am I doing something where I'm being a good steward with what I've been given? One of the things that's interesting, and another thing that we're kind of realizing right now with this virus is we're losing loved ones. It's a real thing. That is absolutely heartbreaking. I think a lot of times you hear about older people who are being affected by it. But the truth is that people of nearly every age group are being affected by this. One of the people who works here, her sister just passed away from the virus. And I think it's one of those things that's actually incredibly heartbreaking because you don't know when your time is up. Whether it's this virus, whether it's an accident, it could be anything. You don't know. And I think that the value for me of this reminder is this idea that we don't know when our time is up. But what we do know is the value of every moment that we actually do have. It's up to us, though, to actually show ourselves and show others that it actually has value as well. The pin that actually comes with this month's Pearl is something we actually spent a lot of time developing. These are little tiny hourglasses. And what I love about this is the hourglass, as far as I'm aware, was one of the original ways of telling time, right? You have the sundials, obviously, from a long, long time ago. But when it comes to actually a man-made, smaller option for telling time or for counting time, this was it. One of the most interesting things to me about time is, or about these in general, is that they're filled with sand. And what I think is a really interesting metaphor with that is this idea that when sand is running through your hands, you can control where you're kind of pouring it out, right? But ultimately, sand is overwhelming, right? Like, you can't control all the sand that's out there. In the same way, our time is our own, and we can kind of guide where we put that time. But at the end of the day, the sand is always collected. Every single day is always collected. And I think that in that same sense, for us, the value of this reminder is this idea that time is fleeting. It's short. We can only control it so much, but at the end of the day, it runs out, right? And my hope for you guys with this month's Pearl is that that'll be a great reminder for you to make the most of every moment, especially when we have this time, this change up of how we're using our time. My hope is that you'll use it, these little reminders, to be that little beacon to be there to say, like, hey, what do you really want to do? What are you focusing on? What do you want your legacy to be? I want to have a little discussion now too, and I'll actually write this up later, but if you want to, in the comments below, I'd love to hear what you're working on right now, what you're doing to make the most of your time, of every moment that you have. What is the most important thing that you're spending your time on right now? And what is your goal in doing that? That's it. Thanks so much for hanging out, and I'll see you guys soon.